everybody? Welcome back to the IzzyVerse. Today's episode is all about Star Wars and Obi-Wan Kenobi. It is our preview show for Obi-Wan Kenobi coming out today on Disney Plus. I hope you guys are excited for it just as much as we are. I have with me a few guests that we're going to talk about the show is, and we're going to show some other things as well. Got a Star Wars Guild, an Empire Star Wars Guild that we're going to showcase here and show a little bit of their training session, talk a little bit about why they do what they do. I also have someone that did an animation of the Obi-Wan trailer, in fact, and we're going to show it off today. It's now, without further ado, let me introduce to you show a friend of the channel, a frequent visitor from time to time again. Introducing Andrew F. Rodriguez. What's up, dude?
What's up? How you doing, guys? How you doing, Izzy?
Ready for some Star Wars talk?
Yeah, I'm so ready.
All right.
Mean, like, I think I even look like one, so like.
There you go. All right, and now introducing to you guys from Digital Labs. He's the animator as well as a Star Wars fan, and I'm going to introduce to you guys John P. Martin. What's going on, John?
Hey guys, good to be here.
Woo-hoo.
Andrew, Izzy.
Yeah.
What's going on, John?
So you probably noticed from my background, I'm in Tatooine. Where are you located at, John?
I'm on the Millennium Falcon.
There you go. And Andrew, you're somewhere.
Yeah, it's probably hot. I'm in hot. Get me out of here. I'm in hot. It's too cold.
Right. So we're going ahead and we're talking about Star Wars. We're getting ready for the show. We're all excited to see Obi-Wan. We just finished seeing Boba Fett a few months ago. Now it's been a few months now. And we've been very excited to see Obi-Wan. So, before we start talking about all the other stuff that we're going to talk about today, how excited are you guys for Obi-Wan, John?
Extremely. God, this is like 40 years in the making, like ready for something like this. Growing up watching the originals, the backstory, like whatever happened to this guy before all this, craziness went down. So super excited to watch. It can't come soon enough.
What about you, Andrew?
Oh, I'm excited because I want to know what happened to Obi-Wan after Order 66. I'm so excited about this that I've actually bought shirts of Obi-Wan so I can wear it for each day. I'm serious.
Yeah, maybe we could just have 6 episodes of just Obi-Wan walking in the desert. That's the whole show. Him in the desert. That's it. Come on.
That's what the trailer looks like anyway.
Yeah,
he's just in the desert. What else is there? And then there's some, peppering of enemies here and there.
We get to learn that Obi-Wan was a peeping Tom. You know what I'm saying? Just like okay, who's that kid over there?
Why do you have binoculars, guy? What are you doing?
Right. So we have the show here. John has graciously worked on a small little animated piece that we're gonna showcase today. Before we start showing it, talk to me a little bit about this piece that you did. Really, it's a starter piece of something that's supposed to be bigger. Am I right?
Right. So when I first, obviously the inspiration came from Obi-Wan, and I was able to find some really cool 3D models on the web. And I just started playing around. So I used Blender to create this animation. And, the unfortunate thing behind all this amazing tech is that, the render times on these things take forever. I think it took like 4 hours to render 10 seconds worth of footage. But yeah, so I had all these, models on hand, and I was just like, you know what, let me play around with this, see what I can come up with, what I can build. And what you're about to show is the shortened version of what I originally built, but I'm going to continue to work on it and hopefully get it out for more people to see, probably after the Obi-Wan series is over, but I don't care. It still looks...
So this is pretty much the teaser trailer of the final piece.
Teaser. I wouldn't even call it the teaser. It's the teaser.
And Andrew, this is the first time you ever watched this. You've never seen this video, right?
No, not at all.
Okay, I've gotten the chance to see it. I got to see the first cut, right? That we talked about a little bit. and we'll talk a little bit about what we saw in the first cut and some of the improvements from the first cut from it. So let's go ahead and showcase this video.
If you strike me down, I shall become more powerful than you can possibly imagine. You were the chosen one!
All right. What do you got? What do you think, Andrew, being that this is the first time you saw this?
Dude, it was either Inquisitor or that was my man Skywalker. Just
So all right, here, Andrew, I'll give you the background. So the model of the person, so yes, Inquisitor, because obviously the lightsaber was the circle.
Yeah.
I was thinking about making a double edge, but I went single edge. But the model is Darth Maul. From
No.
behind. Yeah, from behind. So I never see his face, so there was no, you know, he's just wearing black. That's all he needs to be wearing. But yeah, the model was Darth Maul. And that's one of the things I wanted to fix, actually. That I actually wanted to animate him. And when I was making this, I was actually time crunched, and I didn't have the chance to animate him. So only Obi-Wan was animated. And as you can see, the model is Ewan McGregor, so that made it even better.
Yeah,
So.
and I remember when I first saw the video, I was saying to myself, "Man, this is some crazy animation." There's a longer version, and in the longer version, it's Obi-Wan walking some more. So when we were talking about it, we were like, he needs to stop walking as much, or we need to stop recording it. So he took the time to shorten it up. So what you're seeing is a shortened version of it. But just like you mentioned, John, the amount of time it takes to do something as even, as basic as that is, with all the models and everything like that, how long does something from start to beginning, start to end, really will take for something like this? It's just a minute, right? This is just a little over a minute.
It's actually just a little over a minute with everything. Well, everything starts with an idea, a concept, and then you bring that all into the software they're using. In this case, again, Blender. Could have I done things to shorten the render times? Yes, but I was like, if I'm going to do this, I need to go all the way. It's got to be like really high res. Could have instead of using 3D models, could I have used like something like back plates of those buildings so that it didn't take up too much render time? Yeah, but again, I mean, I don't know. I wanted to look as real as possible, to have that like depth, that 3D depth of field that made it look like this guy was really walking down this corridor to that holocron that you saw him lifting up. So, I mean,
I had chills of this probably was a Knights of the Old Republic probably outpost back in the day, and it's kind of like, of course, it's like you're sharing that Indiana Jones Knights of the Republic kind of like feel, because Star Wars, after like years of me reading them, I love the Tales version of Star Wars. I love the old Dark Horse version. A lot of that Indiana Jones stuff, like sub stories. I loved it. And I believe, as you can tell you, I'm a big sucker for like background and like maps and stuff like that. So
I am too. And it's funny you bring up Knights of the Old Republic. That was definitely an inspiration factor when I was building this piece, because those temples, I had those models. And if these guys are ever watching your video, Kit Bash 3D, those guys are freaking awesome, man. I mean, they got some serious high-end models that I was able to get my hands on and use, and that's one of their packs. I mean, could I have built those models from scratch? Yeah, but it would have taken me far longer to do. And Izzy and I have talked about this. If you got a resource to use to build some of these things, use it. don't try and spend all your time doing everything by yourself. You're just going to go down this rabbit hole, and
I've noticed like right now, like a lot of people have been using the Amazon ship. What's it called? Shipyard or Amazon theme yard or
something like that. I forgot what I actually don't even use that. I have other resources that I use, but I know exactly what you're talking about.
But I love Blender though. Blender has you have a huge community that actually builds a bunch of 3D models. And of course I'm a huge like Fallout fan, so like everyone so like if you're modding, like that's a huge modding community. They just use Blender for like a lot of mods.
I mean, how can you go? I mean, look, it's a free open source software that's really rivaling the guys that they would call like the what's the term that they I forgot. My mind is all over the place, but like you have to use like certain pieces of software like Maya, 3ds Max, right? And Blender's competing with them now. They're getting resources from other companies like Adobe, and they're hitting it hard with this new update. Their 3.0 update is.
I was using Scaleform in school, so I was like, wow.
Yeah, right.
Scaleform in school. It's like, oh god, no. Like, Blender has so many cool. So I would love to see more of that. I would love to see. Yeah, him
Izzy, with your permission, I'd like to blow Andrew's mind real quick, if you don't mind. All right, so Andrew, I got something for you right here. You ready for this?
Absolutely.
All right, share screen 2. There we go.
So let me go ahead and do that. There we go.
What's this, Andrew?
Oh, oh no way.
Yes way. Fully detailed. Look at that. I got people in carbonite.
Oh.
It's like one of those things like let's go and to a 3D model plays and just print this out.
So this could easily be rendered out as an image. I could add whatever I want to this, add some lights, and really like spruce it up. And that's really the power behind the software. Now, if I created an animation out of this, it takes far longer because animation. And then what I did with that video is after I rendered it out in Blender, I took it into a compositor. In this case, I used After Effects to like color correct. And then exported it out, put it into Premiere, and there's your video.
The textures are amazing. You even have like rust, not rust, but like just a weathering effect.
Yeah, here you can see it on the gun right here.
Oh man.
It's so amazing to look at it. It's just the amount of things you could do with computer graphics these days, right? This is the kind of stuff you could only dream of back in the day to do. And now it's all.
And now look what you have.
Yeah.
And now look what you have. And I tell people all the time who ask me about this, like, oh, like how long did you model this and this? And I'm like, look, 90% of my stuff is models that I've gotten online. Either I've purchased or they're available on like websites like Sketchfab, Turbo Squid. You got to utilize these resources as a digital artist, because again, if you try to create everything yourself, most of your time is going to be wasted creating half of it.
Yeah, you just pay for it and accreditation, and it's happy at the end, man.
Everybody's happy at the end. I mean. Eventually, when I do post that video, I have the list of all the people whose models those were to give them credit. I have no intention of taking all the credit for myself.
I remember like there was an awesome game back in the day was online, and so I think they revived it, but it's still playing online, and a lot of people just went into Blender and just kept on. It was one of the online Star Wars games. Was it Old Republic? That people are still playing to this day.
Yeah.
So it's like the community actually, though they cannot play it anymore, the community brought it back on a private server.
Right.
And they just they just came out with Blender and they just cleaned certain places out. And people are still playing that game even though it's officially gone. It's amazing.
Yeah, air quotes. Officially,
Officially
beep,
done.
beep, 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 beep. I can't. I don't want to. I don't want to. I don't want to use foul language here. But yeah. Unofficial.
Yeah.
Sure.
Unofficially, people still playing the MMO. Yeah.
Sure.
Well, but that's the case with everything, right? So, we're living in an age where everything's accessible in some way or another, right?
Yeah.
And it's more fun creating something and then playing off of it than to get it from them sometimes, right? Like for example, with a game like I'm gonna go a little off topic, but like Super Mario Brothers, right? You have the Super Mario Brothers games that people make, and things like that, and using Mario Maker, like you
Right.
make your own levels and things like that, and they're so much fun because it's like, what if we did it this way? What if? So all those what if moments are now a thing, right?
Mhm.
You don't need to think of what if anymore. You could just say, let's just do this. And the same thing could be said with the world of Star Wars, which is such a massive universe, really, right? To the point that we're at a stage that it's no longer about, it's no longer about the Skywalkers, or it's no longer about, the solos. And now we could expand it even further. And, we always seem to go back to the old well, right? Now with Obi-Wan coming back, because there is something about that. There is, I hear people say all the time, I'm tired of the Skywalker story. I was like, well, the Skywalker story is the story. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like it started the story.
Right.
Now, do we need to always go back to Skywalker? It's a different story. Can we go back further to like when the Jedi's began and things like that? And these are the stories that people want to see,
Hmm.
but it needs to be done. Needs to be done right. It needs to be done proper, which unfortunately we don't always get that. But I think with the TV series that we've been getting as of late, they've been hitting it on the ball. They've been hitting it right on the mark
Right.
with how we want it, right? We
Mhm.
started with the Mandalorian, and in the Mandalorian, we got what we wanted, and we got even more. And then with Boba Fett, we got that, and we got some more Mandalorian.
I absolutely like. We talked about the Mandalorian, but like, I love the fact that they're still tying in even the CGI cartoons, like Rebellion, and they even
And
went
then you
into
got
like,
the comic books. They're all
Yeah.
they're all part of the canon now.
Yeah.
So it is part of one whole cohesive unit. It's hard because continuity is a tough thing to
It
do.
really is. But they've done it well, even with referencing the Clone Wars, the animated series. I mean, I couldn't tell you. My jaw dropped when I saw Cad Bane
yeah,
and Boba Fett. I was like, when I saw the silhouette in the background, I'm like, wait a minute, no, it is. And like, my wife's looking at me like, what the hell is wrong with you? I'm like, that's Cad Bane.
Yeah.
Do you understand who that is? No, you don't understand who that's Cad Bane. That's all you need to know. This is amazing. Just keep watching.
that means was it Enzo still there?
Say that again.
That means the Rebels characters, like the Rebel, like that means
Possibly.
there's still characters from Rebels that are still around. I'm like, that's a joyful, like this is why I want Kenobi, because I want some of those like characters from Rebels to be around. I still want
Right.
people from the old Clone Wars cartoons come out. Like, just bring them back. I really want them. Who's that pirate guy? I keep forgetting his name. The cookie pirate that was with little Enzo. I
I know
but
you're talking about,
like,
but yeah, name eludes me at the moment.
Yeah,
But seriously,
I can't help you with that one.
all right, but seriously, get Freddie Prinze in an outfit so he could like have the eye patch and the whole thing, because he was the voice actor. Get Freddie Prinze Jr. in with the whole makeup.
Yeah.
Just get him into your wardrobe. And my girl Ahsoka's gonna have to be part of this Kenobi, right?
Yeah, John and I were talking about that earlier. That there is a good likelihood that she will pop up in this episode, in one of these episodes.
Mhm.
Let's talk about that. Let's talk a little bit about Obi-Wan and what our expectations are. They could be too high, but at the same time, who knows, right? We know we're gonna get more Vader. That's a fact. We're definitely gonna get Vader. I think we're all excited to see what they do with Vader.
Right.
How they're gonna make it work. will there be screen time with Obi-Wan and Anakin together? Will there be a moment where they're gonna have some screen time together? That's gonna be a challenge because we're it's one thing to do a prequel where you could do everything that happened before and you could kind of like backtrack. And there's another thing, obviously, when you do a sequel, you could pretty much do whatever you want with the sequel because it's wherever you want it to go.
Right.
But this is in that little 30-year period, right? That little space and time that you can't do too much because then it goes off.
Yeah.
But then you have to figure out a way to like how it starts and how it ends. Everyone knows how it starts, everyone knows how it ends. It's that middle point of can you make it work? And I think this is going to be one of their biggest challenges to date as far as can they do it.
Right. I'm interested to see. I feel like there is going to be some type of standoff between Vader and Obi-Wan. Now, my thought goes to, will Vader always have the helmet on? Is there going to be a point possibly that he'll have it off talking or whatever to Obi-Wan? Because I'm thinking of the actor, Hayden Christensen, who in the beginning, right, he got so much flack for his portrayal.
He was young. That's why
he was young. I know he was young, but he got so much flack for playing this character. And now, however many years, like 15, 16 years, whatever.
No, it's like 20. It's almost
25. Is it 20? Yeah.
Almost 20, dude.
Right.
Yeah.
So 20 years later, now he's getting all this love, but he's hidden behind a mask. So I'm wondering, is there going to be some type of conversation?
I think they will. I think we will see him without the mask. Only because why would you hire him?
Right. You could have hired anybody. You could have hired anybody to be behind that mask. Because
you don't need him. You don't need his voice, right? Because that's where you get James Earl Jones, right? Because it's been established in episode 3. At the end of episode 3, it's James Earl Jones now, right? So the minute they put on the helmet, the minute we hear the gas sounds, right, and it's James Earl Jones, right? So if you're going to bring back Hayden Christensen to be in a costume and not really talk, why bring him back in the first place? Why spend the money, right?
Yeah,
so you're gonna have to see him in some light. So and it's a matter of what kind of how does his face look now that it's all burned up? That's the kind of stuff, because we got an older version in episode 6 of what he would look like, but we never seen what he looked like between episode 3 and on.
Right.
So,
and it's hilarious because Obi-Wan, or the actor who plays Obi-Wan, is the same age as the actor who played Obi-Wan in the movie. So
right. They made that reference. I remember.
And then, so that would conclude that the actor who supposedly, the same age or in that age range so even Vader is in that age range. It's kind of like a full circle. Now, my big thing is I really hope that they show Vader maskless, talking with his voice, but being very G about it, being very gangster about it, because I'm talking to you, breathing in pain with my own voice. That to me would be that would be that would be the finisher. I don't know what they're going to do. I'm not expecting a lot. I see a lot of Inquisitors. I'm not sure. I'm always hoping that they always put more Timothy Zahn characters in that series, but the novel series will never do. Hopefully we'll see Thorin or something like that. I want to see if they're going to put Torkin. Like if they're going to CGI Peter Cushing.
It could. They did a great job with that in Rogue One, and see, that's my worry, because Rogue One was great, especially at the end. But you saw Vader in his castle in that regeneration chamber, right? So it was really the only time you saw him without his mask, and it was very, skewed. He had all these volumetric, smoke and whatever, so you really didn't get a chance to see him. So my worry is in the series is they're probably going to do something like that with Hayden Christensen, where you really only slightly see his face. I'm hoping that's not the case. Again, I'm with Andrew in this. I'm not trying to set my expectations really high for this because I really don't want to be disappointed. Like, because I'm so psyched to see this show.
Yeah. And as far as storytelling goes, so we're talking about Hayden Christensen. We're talking a lot about Obi, but the dynamics of the family, the Skywalkers as a whole, right? So we're gonna get a young Luke, right? He's in the trailers. What they haven't showed us is a young Leia. Why shouldn't they? They probably will eventually show her, especially since Leia knows that Obi's still around. Well, how does she know this? Well, her father could probably tell her something. So we haven't even begun to talk about the Leia aspect. No one's talking about Leia, but I think there is going to be some Leia moments here. I think there's going to be some Leia moments. We're going to see characters pop up that who knows? We might even see a Han Solo. Who knows? It's possible.
Crazy. Maybe we have to see more of Alderaan. That would be an interesting.
Yeah.
As a background artist, yeah. So seeing how Alderaan really looks is.
Yeah. So there's so much that could be shown to us that we don't even know. That's what kind of made Boba Fett so good, is that we didn't expect some of the characters that we ended up seeing in Boba Fett, right? We didn't expect to see Black Cardin. I can never say his last name. The big Chewbacca. Black Cardin. Andrew, help me. Yes. Right? We didn't expect to see him. We didn't expect to see the why is my brain is a wreck today?
We gotta go to sleep.
I know, right? the Jabba brothers, right? The twins,
right?
Jabba twins. We didn't expect to see that, but we ended up getting all that. So I'm almost certain, and we lost Andrew for a second. Oh, there he is. He's back.
All right, I'm back.
So we didn't expect to see a lot of that, and we're gonna get it. And I think that's probably what's happening. We're gonna get 2 episodes, right? So that's what we're gonna get, 2 episodes. So it's gonna be a 2-hour show, and they're gonna throw in something that just gonna make us go what on the second episode, especially. So there's going to be a second episode cliffhanger. We're going to get that, and again, where's everyone else? Because we're in that sweet spot, right? We're in that 30-year gap, right, between 3 and 4, and anything that could happen between 3 and 4. We got that with Solo, but I think with due time, people will end up liking that movie.
I'm going to say this. That movie is an underrated movie.
It is.
It's a highly underrated movie, and I forgot what happened when it was released. I think something else came out. Whatever. Like, it got so much bad press that it was completely undeserving, in my opinion. I thought that movie was really well done. I thought the guy who played Lando was freaking spot on, man. I mean,
Donald Glover. Yeah,
Donald Glover, right?
Yeah.
I mean, you couldn't find a better young Lando than how that guy played it. And even the guy who played young Solo, I don't know his name off the top of my head, but even he was like perfect Han Solo. Like, I really get upset when I hear people talk about that movie in a negative manner. I wish they would have made another one. I really do. I thought that was awesome.
Yeah, even Amelia Clark being in it was just like amazing. Like her being a villain, like she wasn't an Inquisitor. She was like a gangster with like
and then at the end with Darth Maul, that was awesome.
And you just left us there
left us hanging. Like, that was unfair. Like, when I saw the end of that, I literally, my blood boiled. I was just like, oh,
don't do this to me. Yeah,
don't do this to me. Like,
Alden Ehrenreich, something like that.
Yeah,
he's the actor.
Whoever he is, I don't remember seeing anything else.
I could see him return. He's one of those guys I could see him return. I could see again. Darth Maul is another character Like what happens to Darth
Disney
Maul
like
in the end?
Donald. Disney loves Donald Glover, so they probably will bring him back because he's like, I'm gonna tell you right now, like perfect Solo. Yeah, and he's at that same timeline, so you actually have Solo. Like,
well, to answer your question, Izzy, they killed Maul in the animated series Rebels, and he was killed by Obi-Wan, and it was a great scene.
So why can't we see that live action?
I don't know. That's a great question. Do they want to repeat the same thing but just be in live action? Right?
I probably. I don't know what happened to Ventress, because Ventress is another interesting character that they never.
She disappears. Like that's another thing. Like in that show, she just like vanishes. She goes back to her home world. What was it, Dathomir? And as far as I remember, that was it. She just, that was it. She disappears into the shadows, and that's it.
Seriously, get the actress from. If you ever watch The Expanse, there's just like she's with Belter, the really attractive Belter lady who's like the commander.
Yeah,
put her in a bald cap. She's Ventress to me. Like I would. That's a fan cast, and I forgot her name, and it's in my top of my head. But I love The Expanse. She's already versed in sci-fi.
Right.
Sci-fi fans will be like, "Hey, wait, she's going to be playing Ventress? You just get seats on the table, like seats, butts and seats, man." I think
there's just so much to draw from here. I feel bad for Favreau and Filoni. They just have so much to work with. How do they build all this? Where do they go?
Got Favreau and Filoni. I think Taika might do something with them a little bit.
Right.
So, and they've proved they already have a proven track record with what they've done. So I'm not worried, especially with Filoni. Favreau just seems to be the guy that he could man the ship and just let other people do the work.
Right.
Filoni for the most part.
Right.
But because that's your guy.
That is. He can just do whatever.
Just give it to him and be like, yeah, we're good. We're good. Just that guy's good. All right. What's your ultimate expectations for the show? Let's start with you, Andrew.
I'm going to curb my enthusiasm for now. I'm just going to give it a solid 5 out of 10 for just my rating of like what I saw at the trailer. I really enjoyed it, but I wanted more. So I'm just gonna curb myself, because last time, it was like I was blown away when from last time when I saw the Book of Boba. So I'm hoping to see more from Kenobi.
Cool. What about you, John? What's your expectations?
I'm trying to keep my expectations low because, like Andrew said, I don't want to go into this thinking like this is going to be like the best show I've ever seen. Will it be great? I have no doubt it'll probably be great because, one, it's Kenobi. That's all that needs to be said. As far as rating, I'm going to give it from what I've seen in the trailer a 7 out of 10. I'm going to set the bar a little high, but not too high where, again, I'm going to be disappointed in the end. But again, I've talked about this before with you, Izzy. I'm very easily entertained when it comes to this sci-fi stuff. So, I mean, it'd be really hard. And I mean really hard for these guys to screw this particular series up. So, I mean, you just have, I mean, really, because you have so much there. There's just so much there. It's almost like, they're just being handed this golden ticket of like, here you go, make millions. How could you screw this up? Have fun, Yeah,
and originally Obi-Wan was supposed to have been a film. The idea was it was supposed to be one of the films. I'm happy that they decided to go the route of television, not because budget-wise, the budget's going to stay the same. Let's face it, it's the same budget that they would have had with a movie, but they're forced to be a little more practical, right? But the good news is that it's an extended movie now, right?
Right.
So it ends up being 3 movies if you really think about it. It's 6 episodes total, right? So you do 6 episodes, you get largely about 4 to 5 hours of film time.
Right.
So you're gonna get a epic, in other words, and that's the concept. So my expectations of them, I'm like you. I'm like both of you. I'm in a very middle ground with it. I don't have much. I'm not expecting too much from it because if I'm blown away, then I'll be extremely happy in the end, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Um, it's like with Boba Fett. One of the letdowns of Boba Fett for me was how towards the end they kind of forgot about him in a weird way, right? It was like, oh yeah, we're gonna focus on our next show that's coming up because we know how much you love this next guy. So I felt like they let that down, even though the beginning was like really really tight story and they were just building from there. I think with Obi-Wan in particular, because you got the actors that you have in play, it's taking everyone's love of the prequels, those that do love the prequels, and really marrying them with those who love the originals, right? So it's taking
Yeah.
it's taking the two and tying that knot, right? Episode 3 and episode 4, there's that gap. This is the gap.
Yeah.
Where Rogue One was a good end point to that gap. It wasn't like the full 30 years. It was like right towards the end, and it was really good because when you did get to the end of Rogue One and you found out what they were doing, it was like, oh, it was almost a retcon moment, right? Where it's like, yeah, so that's why there was a little gap. It was done on purpose.
Was it though? Were we really thinking this far in the future? It's just gonna blow up like this?
Yeah, he was thinking ahead of time. He was thinking about this very same moment. The force was strong inside his head. You know what I mean? So I feel like their goal here is to tie the two movies together, to
Right.
tie 3 and 4 together to make it into one cohesive unit. Will they achieve it? It's only time will tell. But if we don't have our hopes extremely to the highest point, then I
Right.
think we should be fine, and we should be satisfied with the end result. Before I let you guys go, there's one more thing I wanted to show you guys, and this is another piece that John did, and to let everybody know. So Andrew, this is another first time for you too. And this is the way.
I think Andrew's frozen. There we go. Oh, he's back. Okay.
There you go. This is the way.
I'm like, I love it. I absolutely love it. I want that on my wall right now.
Take it.
Awesome, guys. All right,
Nothing I
guys.
have right now is copyrighted, so go ahead, take it. Except for the
All
picture
right.
behind him. That's got my name on it. So
That
yeah.
guy is yeah. Look at the right. No, it's on this side, right there. There it is.
Wait, I just thought
All right, guys. So what we're gonna do next is we're gonna talk a little bit about the Saber Guild, the Empire Saber Guild group. Andrew, you met him, you got to see him, and John, you got to see him in White Plains. So we did a training. I went to one of their training sessions and had a couple of conversations with them. I'm gonna show that stuff now. But as far as this group goes, let's start with John. Where can people find you?
I'm located here in New York. As far as like social media, my tag is down there for Instagram. I haven't really posted anything recently, but some of my work is there. I'm starting up my YouTube channel really soon. I'm trying to figure out what my first video is actually going to be about. But that's really right now where you can find me is on Instagram. I'm building up the social media as best I can. I'm also, just to tell your followers, yes, I've done this art, but I'm an XR developer in my full-time job where I build virtual reality games and applications. So this art stuff is really helping me out in that.
There's a good chance that you played with something that John had touched in some way or another.
Possibly.
Right?
It's funny. I haven't been doing it that long, but I mean, it's awesome stuff. And so the YouTube channel, once it's up, will focus mainly on tutorials on Blender and various other pieces of software to build these amazing worlds. We were talking about this before Andrew got on, but I've been playing around with Unreal Engine, which is also fantastic for building worlds. And for those who don't know, a lot of the backgrounds in The Mandalorian, and I'm sure in Obi-Wan, those environments are on projection screens made in Unreal Engine that they use for filming, and it looks unbelievably real. So expect to see some of that stuff when my channel gets up and running.
Awesome.
I'm really looking forward to it.
Yeah, so am I. We've definitely been talking a little bit about it. Andrew, what about you, man?
I'm working on a project I can't talk about, but it is going to be a Dungeons and Dragons product with the Wizard of the Coast. So I can't wait for that. I'm now working for a Storm Bunny Studios, where they're producing I'm playtesting it right now, but they're producing a book called Bloodlines of Black Magic. I will be in their videos of their new game. They'll be coming out in about fall, around Halloween. Of course, Bloodlines of Black Magic. It's a horror themed world that's set aside where this new game sets in a place called Black Hills in Wisconsin. It's really cool. It's a really cool module. But I'm also working on a Dungeons and Dragons project that I cannot talk about. But yeah, it's been amazing. Like just doing game design and absolutely tabletop game design. And of course, you need to find me. I'm on Instagram, and Frank Rodriguez Art on Instagram. I'm going to be leaving Twitter. There is no reason why I'm leaving Twitter. I'm just, I think Twitter left me because I've been looking at my Twitter. I'm like, what's going on with my feed? So, and you can find me on Facebook, Andrew Frank Rodriguez Art on Facebook. I also have a Dungeons and Dragons style group for Facebook. My Facebook group is called Dead Do Walk Facebook group. Please, if you're interested in zombies, RPGs, horror RPGs, space-themed horror RPGs, I'll be exploring those. And because thanks to a few mutual friends of mine, they're going to help me produce my work. That's going to be on DM Labs. Yeah.
Well, that sounds great, man.
Yeah.
And you know what? Where's my phone? I got to follow you. All right. Hold on. So,
and I'm going to follow you. Oh, wait, I'm actually using my phone.
I could tell. You got the angle going on, man.
You got the black bars on the side.
Yeah.
Where are you?
Got that portrait mode going on for you.
John, I really love your work.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
So yeah, more, please.
Awesome,
more's coming. I mean, Izzy knows. I mean, it's full-time
jobs.
Man.
It's a start, man.
You're trying to do all this stuff. I got the website going, or almost going. YouTube's almost going. Yeah. I'm only on Instagram. Then it's like, I've never been on Twitter, so I think I'm just going to stay off that. But
it's not that important.
Yeah,
it's not that important.
So I can tell. And then it's like maybe TikTok. I haven't really decided yet, but right now the focus is definitely the website to put my portfolio together, to get all my work on there, show what I've been working on, and then YouTube. Yeah, I got to get this YouTube channel up and running. I've been thinking about it for far too long. Mm-hmm. So stop thinking, just do it. I should just have the Nike sign come right on right now.
I know, right?
I don't have it.
All right, guys, let me put you guys on hold for a little bit so we can get to the next segment. All right, so with that being said, now we're going to go into the Star Wars Empire Sabers Guild. I met this group back when I was doing the Big Apple Con, and they're a great group. They have a couple of locations, one in the Westchester area, one in New York. I managed to speak to both of them from both groups. And what you're about to see right now is a training session from one of their training guilds. And it's really exciting. I get to have a lot of good conversations. So I hope you enjoy it. And it's coming up right now. All right. I'm here with Michelle from Empire Temple, right? Saber Guild. Tell me a little bit about the temple and what you guys do here.
So we are Saber Guild Empire Temple. We are the New York City arm of Saber Guild International. We are Lucasfilm's preferred Jedi and Sith group. And we are the only preferred group that actually does choreography with our lightsabers. We are not the only group out there that works with our lightsabers, but we are that preferred group for them.
So when it comes to these training sessions, what is it that you're actually doing with those that are coming in, whether they're established or if they are new?
If they're established, we want to keep those skills sharp. So it gets very easy to get complacent. So I think you saw a little bit of our mentioning different heights and targeting. So a lot of, as you saw tonight, there are a lot of males in the group. There are actually a lot of females. The fact that I'm the only one here tonight, notwithstanding, there are a lot of females.
But there's another
in the
group doing something else right now.
And there's another group doing voice recording that has the other female running around here tonight in there. But so if you put most of my, I mean, I'm short. I'm not even 5 feet tall. So if you put me with a 6 foot tall partner, it gets very easy for that 6 foot tall partner to aim here on me. So we want to make sure that people are being mindful of targeting, of their footwork, of keeping their choreography crisp, and not getting sloppy and complacent over time for somebody that's been around for a while. Mm-hmm. For somebody that's new, we have a lightsaber alphabet that targets different target zones and in a sequence of moves, and it gives us a shared choreography language so that somebody coming in, if they know some of the letters of the alphabet, can fairly quickly put together a fight, and they can talk to another person from our temple who will know that an A is hip, hip, head, who will know that a C is shoulder, shoulder, head, groin. And it gets people speaking that same language really quickly and gets them choreographing really quickly, which is really what we're all here for. That's the joy. We're to actually use these things and, you know, not just have them be cool props all the time.
Yeah, and with that choreography in place, you're also able to work with other temples because of that, right? Because you guys share the same language. And to a certain extent, or
to a certain extent, it's not 100% across the board. Different groups use similar but not exactly the same targeting systems. There's more than one way to teach saber choreography. One's not better than the other. It's just this is the set of tools. It's a toolbox. Those are the tools that group uses. These are the tools that our group uses. But there are enough similarities that it means that we can walk into another temple and be speaking the same language pretty quickly.
Yeah, and it's if you're new to it, you could probably catch on pretty quickly with it. And, you know, to the, I guess you could say to the naked eye, be like, wow, this guy looks like he's been doing this for a long time, when deep down inside he's just 2 weeks in.
Well, it's also, you know, some people come in with innate skill and some people don't, and some people develop it really well. And then there are people like me who I love what I do, but 9 years into this, nobody is ever going to look at me and go, oh my God, she's fantastic. And I'm okay with that.
I'm sure you're better than me. I'll tell you that much.
But I'm okay with that. I'm here to have a good time. A big focus of what we do is charity work and fundraising for charity. We're going to Star Wars Celebration Anaheim in a week and a half, and all the Lucasfilm groups are working together to fundraise for the Starlight Foundation.
Awesome, that's fantastic.
You know, we're all coming together to bring smiles to kids' faces, and I'm sure a fair amount of adults as well. That's really what it's about.
Yeah, because we met in Big Apple originally. Right. But I ended up doing a few shows in Dobbs Ferry and then again in White Plains, and there you guys were. And it's like, oh, I'm finding them everywhere. And they're probably saying, well, I'm finding this guy everywhere. And it's really great that you guys are not just in the New York City area, you're also outside where I was in Westchester County area, and you're able to go out to different places, and I'm sure you guys go to even further distances as well.
So each temple has a geographic location that it covers. Empire is New York City and Hudson Valley. If you go out to Long Island, that's Emdor Temple. If you start heading down into New Jersey, North Jersey is Corellia, South Jersey is Zepho. We've got Kessel in Connecticut. We've got Dathomir down in Maryland. Malachor Temple, because they're relatively new, so I'm not familiar with them yet.
And where did the names come from?
Almost every temple takes the name of a planet now. Back when Saber Guild first started, it started locally in California. About 5 years after they were established, they decided to open up across the United States. Empire was one of the first new temples outside of California, and at that point, we just went with the name of the city that we were in, and it became so iconic for us and so well known that we decided not to drop it. But I think we're the last group left that doesn't have the name of a planet.
Awesome, that's great. Thank you, Michelle. We can keep on watching the some of the training sessions that are going on. But if you guys are interested, tell them where they could find you.
So if you're interested in joining us, I would say, first of all, find us on Facebook. There is a Saber Guild Empire Temple page, and message me. I'm the person at the other end. I'm the local director of the temple, and we can get information out to you. If you're in the city, we're in the financial district, and if you're up in Westchester, they're right off of the Pleasantville Metro North station.
I'm here with
Panda.
and
Jamal.
So tell me a little bit about your relationship with the guild. What you guys do with the guild?
Well, my relationship is the group clown. No, my relationship is, it's different. Yeah, I joke around in the group as you see, like always, but I'm more as if you need me type person, I'm there. That's
And how
my.
did you get started in the guild? Like,
No, I am an official member. I am SG 395. We all get a number when we join the group. The way I started with the group is I put my whole hand in. It doesn't matter where they're at, what they do. I make sure that I'm there. You need me, I'm there. So I make sure that if there was a con, I'm manning the table or helping out with costumes, being a handler, But yeah, that's how I did it. But
and
Jamal started, I think a week, not last week, but the following week before, and the experience was just so unbelievable.
so how did you get involved? Like, how did you find out about it?
I found out about it through a mutual friend, not by the guild, but I had just gotten my official first saber, and one of the things that I wanted to do was that I heard that they were doing saber training. So at that point, I was like, okay, I gotta find a place where I can do saber training and see how it goes. And I found the guild, and I got in contact with I think Michelle, and I was interested, and she was like, come aboard, and I showed up the first night, and I was very well welcomed, and it was just fun.
So you just started like within the last few weeks, right?
Yeah.
And you're loving it.
Oh yeah.
Awesome, that's great.
Yeah.
Tell me a little bit about your sabers.
my lightsaber, this is technically not mine, but my lightsaber is from Saber Forge. Right now it's in storage because it needs to rest. But I have a unique curved hilt that I decided to grab because I'm a twin user. I use two lightsabers right now for the class. I use one, but my character Granamir uses two lightsabers. He's a character that came from the dead, in other words, and he wants to attack everybody with two hands. So my saber is twin. This one's from Ultra Sabers, if I'm correct. That's if I'm correct. I probably am not.
We'll probably have a viewer saying, "Well,
Yeah.
I don't know. It's not the right saber.
It's not fat enough, but
It's so frustrating. It's so frustrating.
But there's a red blade, as you see. The blade is heavy duty because we are heavy hitters, all of us. It doesn't matter who you are. But we do it with caution. We do it with safety. That's the most important because these things will break bones. That's why I use two sabers because for two reasons. I'm more offense and defense with the other hand, or I could both use offense with both. As a easier way to kill them.
What about your saber? Tell me a little bit about your saber.
My saber is from Dark Wolf Sabers, and it's the Anakin Skywalker Flex. It's modeled after Episode 3 because it has like the ridge end, and it's actually my very first saber, so I went with this one, and it handles very good. It's just that when you're doing the spinning, you want to grab it like this instead of like this because then the edges will cut you in a sense. And
You learned from experience, I take it.
Huh?
You learned from experience.
Oh yeah, I had a bunch of my friends that had the same saber,
Yeah.
and they would just show me pictures of them getting cut and everything. So it was like, you gotta make sure you hold it like this, because if you don't, you're gonna be in a world of pain.
All right. So the question I have for both of you is Empire or the Rebellion?
Oh, Empire all the way. You gotta be kidding. Hello.
Empire.
Empire?
Yeah.
Be careful with these two guys. Well, thank you guys both. I am here with
Kara, also known as Eric Selmack. You can call me whichever way you would like. So I am part of Empire Saber Guild. We are an LFL group, and we raise and do charity for kids. If we have fun in the process, we have fun in the process. But as I say, we always do it for the kids.
we've met a few times. In fact, we saw each other in the last 2 weeks of twice, right?
Put it this way, it's been a long May the 4th week. I have done a total of 4 troops. It was supposed to be 5, but I ended up doing 4. So, but yes, it's been a pleasure. Mm-hmm. So yes, no, we have met twice. It was FerryCon, and then it was White Plains.
And then it was White Plains, and then here, number 3, right?
Yes, there
and
you go.
Were you in Big Apple?
Yes.
So then that's the first time.
I do a lot of troops. The moment we were able to start doing things in person, I could not wait to get out of my kit. What we had to do, we had to be creative as a group. We did things virtually. We did a virtual show on point. We did a lot of virtual troops, but now that we are out and about and we're able to do things and just spread our love of Star Wars and get out and about, now that's exactly what we're doing. We're just out and about. So I guess there are times to charm with Izzy, or let's go with 4th. May the 4th be the time that I meet Izzy.
And you got a drawing from my daughter.
I cannot wait to frame that. It's this amazing photo of me that was taken by Rogue Alliance, another LFL group. That it's just gorgeous drawing that I just it was the first time we met.
Yeah, so it was at FerryCon, and in FerryCon, I told you guys spin the wheel and see what you get, and you ended up getting the free sketch. And Jubilee, my daughter, was like, "I'll do it." And we didn't have enough time because you had to leave. So she's like, "Wait, I need to see what you look like." So I ended up tracking you from the Instagram. So when I found you on Instagram, obviously I found the connections. I said, "Jubilee, there she is right there." And she's like, "Okay." And then she immediately thought of different ways of doing it than the original picture. And then we were able to present it onto you on that Saturday over in White Plains.
It's moments like that are just warm my heart. The irony of it was at FerryCon, I had a little boy come up to me and hand me a picture that he drew of me, and he just went to me and he goes, "Here's the picture I drew for you." He gave me this entire explanation for it. My heart just melted, and all I thought is, this is why I do this. This is why I wake up, I put on my kit. That's what we call our Jedi garb or Sith garb, depending on what side you choose. I go for the light. So, and my heart just melted, and it's presently on my fridge at the moment. Shout out to Lucian. Thank you very much for the beautiful picture, but it's presently on my fridge. So, I still need to find a frame though for your daughters, but it's wonderful. And then we make great connections, and then we work from there. Mm-hmm. And
so when you were in FerryCon and then again in White Plains, what was the I guess you could say the assignment that you guys were doing, because you were doing demonstrations as well, but you were also helping the kids that were there by doing demonstrations alongside the children.
Correct. We have something that we call PTI, Padawan Training Institute. So what we end up doing is that we set up in which we teach younglings to become Padawans. So we have our Jedi Masters. They come up, they teach the students about the Force, they teach the basic, one of the forms, Shicho, which I do know the form. So we teach them a very, very simplistic modified form of it. And then we have Sith come out and they duel and defeat them. And then they get their Padawan training certificate at the end. And it's a lot of fun because it's very interactive. And the kids love it. You should see some of the parents. Parents get a kick out of it in a very good way because it brings them back. So it's just fun. I remember doing it even before I was an official member of Saber Guild, and I remember getting the kids signed up. And I mean, at White Plains, we had three of them going. It was my first time running PTI, so I ran the first one, and it was wow. It was an honor and a privilege. It was just crazy, but the kids just have so much fun with it. It's like, what's the Force? And you get some of the craziest responses.
The kids are the best. I will admit, the kids are the best.
Okay, some of them are spot on, which is absolutely hysterical. Because some of them will just go bam and just go. Yet you ask an adult, and they're going, huh? And you're just going, okay.
So I was telling someone earlier that I did a sketch for a kid in White Plains. It was, and it was to me, the sketches are like, I do them. It's no problem. It's no big deal. I don't have an attachment to them like that. But I do understand when someone receives something that for them, it becomes like, this is awesome. I'm going to frame this up. I'm going to do that. Right. And this particular kid found me on Instagram. Of course, it's really easy to find me. Right.
Really?
It really is, IzzyVerse NYC in Instagram, and that's where you find me. So he then started messaging me, right? Now I'm an adult, I'm a parent as well, and as a parent, I understand, if a kid starts messaging you, do what you could do, but don't start building a conversation or a relationship. So I'll just hit a little heart. But what's so great is that he's sending me his drawings, like his crayon drawings, almost on a daily basis. He's like, here's a drawing I did. What do you think? And I was like, it's great. It's awesome, because that's what they need. They need the encouragement to keep going, as whether it's Star Wars, whether it's comics, whether it's wrestling or whatever it is.
Yes.
People need the encouragement to say, this is great. When they're ready for the critique, then you give it to them. But when they're a certain age, you don't say, oh, you got to work there. But you always give them, you be honest with them with how much work they're doing and keep it positive, especially, with Padawan training. I'm sure they weren't doing the moves the way they were so not necessarily really supposed to do it. But that's not the point, right? The point is having fun and really taking something that could just be just fun and take it to the next level, because there's also part of that, right? There's also the side where this could become something more than just me having fun.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
That's one of the things. I've had some people walk by us and chuckle at us, and it's one of those where I'm going, no, we're doing this for a good cause. Why are you?
You just don't get it.
Why are you chuckling at us? There's nothing necessary about it. It's one of those where, for all I know, I can have someone who did PTI a decade later is going to be a member of Empire. Mm-hmm. Could they be? There's a possibility. Empire is still building and has continued to build since it started. So it's one of those things, you never know. The things you love, I joined in 17. Did I think I was going to one of these days walk out of my apartment dressed as a Jedi and just being, all right, I'm going to go to White Plains Con and do this, when that's where I met Empire. Did I ever think I was going to do that? No, but I do that, and I do it very matter of fact, and like it's something I do every day. Yes. And it's just something that's second nature now. There have been times where there was one Halloween I went dressed as my Jedi kit, and it wasn't an event, but I saw little Rey and I gave her a modified PTI lesson. And it was just one of those moments where the mother thought the brewery owner had actually asked me to be there, and I said, no, I'm just here. For me, it was just something that I had to do. It was just me being me. And it was also, in hindsight, me being a member of Empire, me being part of something that I had to do. I just did it automatically. Like, that's all.
Awesome.
You can find me at Jedi Knight, Eric Selmack, so you can find Empire at our various cons and convention. I post various photos from it, where I've actually met Izzy, so that sort of thing. So you can find me there too, actually.
Thank you.
My name is Alex Padilla. I'm fairly new. I started like roughly 2 months now. I really got inspired by the whole battle choreography. Before all this, I primarily just did a lot of saber flows and saber dances. And without embarrassing myself, if anybody else asks, I would just say sword dance, right, minus the saber part, so that way I wouldn't sound too nerdy. Because I do like, even if it isn't saber involved, I just like the flow art of sword dance. I like expressing my body in ways that involve a weapon of a partner that I can flow myself with, and just something to extend myself. And I found it very graceful, very artistic, and very theatrical, to the point where there was somebody in a Saber Guild, or I should say a Saber Technique group on Facebook, that suddenly recommended that I joined the Saber Guild. I was highly intrigued and decided to check it out, and immediately I was entranced, starstruck, and I wanted to get in contact with the group. The closest one to me was Empire Temple, and that's when I had Michelle get back to me, and we corresponded for a while. Immediately I was so invested, and then on my first lesson, I was right into it. I even took my brother with me, who also carries a very similar, if not identical, talent as mine. We both have always kind of like taught each other, and even if we're not together, we're always self-training, just doing our own flows. But yeah, like, we applied our self-trained skills to what we learned from Empire Guild. Of course, we kept an open mind. We tried not to be too flashy with ourselves, but we wanted to keep an open mind, respect their own teachings, and we continue to do so. And myself, especially, I love learning new techniques, new moves, and the safety measures that they teach us, to always make sure that myself and my partner are both having a fun time while keeping each other safe and putting on a show for an audience. And I hope to get to that kind of level.
So you said you've been here about 2 months now,
2
right?
months, I would say, yeah.
What was the one thing that drew you in, that's made you say, I gotta be part of this?
I would say, in a similarity, I compared it between what I originally did by myself as a sword dance to how two people are also exchanging moves felt like a dance in itself. And I felt so resonated with what they did to what I did with just as myself. And I really was intrigued. I really wanted to have a partner to actually dance with, as they would say, just suddenly get into the flow of things. And that's what really enticed me. And then there's also more ways that they can express their movements. It's not just the sabers. It's also the hands and the martial arts, the gestures, the way they move their bodies. It's not always just the weapon itself. And that's what I really admired. That's what also drew me in. That's what really enticed me. And I like doing that. I would really want to learn ways to not just express my weapon, but of course still while wielding it, also express my body in ways that would express the force as they're teaching, you know, ways that they can manipulate it, not just the telekinesis. There's also different elemental ways that they can use the force or manipulate the person, your partner, and the way they get into the act and how they're so immersed into their character. It's so much fun, and it really brings me back to, like, it makes me feel young again. It brings me back to my old childhood. And although I am 34,
that's not old.
yeah, I mean,
you're like, I'm like,
yeah. But yes, in a way, it does make me feel young again. I love getting into the whole act of things, and it's like being in a play. It's like getting into like something like Broadway, and like you're really putting on an entertainment in front of an audience, and that's what I really want to do.
That's fantastic. Can you tell me a little bit about your saber?
This one I actually got from Saber Forge. This is the Katana MK. What I really love about it is that it has a nice samurai-ish tsuba, or arm guard, as most people would say. I'm a sucker for the samurai arts, the kendo, the styles, the katanas and everything, especially when it comes to the tsubas. I just love the style of it. So when I found it on Saber Forge, I just told myself I had to get one of these, especially with one with a tsuba, with a circle, and it has a nice Jedi symbol on it. It was beautiful, and I've been training with it ever since I first joined. It's one of my favorites to use whenever I'm doing battle choreography. Although when I'm doing solo flowing, which I still do, I use a totally different saber that's a little lighter, and it's more for just flowing. It's not meant for combat. That one I use for with a NeoPixel lighting, which is really beautiful. It has wonderful features, and I use that for just solo flows. But for this one in particular, I love using it because not only is it fairly heavy, but it gives me a good challenge. It gives me a good workout, and it's like I feel the exercise. I feel like I'm actually, you know, progressing every time I'm learning new techniques with this saber.
Awesome. Thank you so much. I really appreciate your time.
Absolutely. Thank you very much.
It decided to be red. This is not my saber, which is why I'm looking at it like it's a foreign object. I'm borrowing it from a friend this evening. And it has a soundboard, and it's what's called an RGB saber, which means that it can be turned into different colors if I actually knew how to do that on this saber. Yeah. But what makes these battle ready is actually what's going on in here. It's also got flash on clash, apparently. Is what's going on in the hilt. And the difference between this and a toy that you might get in the store is that all the electronics are in the hilt. There's no electronics in the blade whatsoever. So this is just light being projected to the tip at the end and back down through the tube. And that means, pick up yours for a minute. Yep. We can do this. And we're not going to damage any of the electronics of the saber.
Okay.
And that's what
NeoPixel that I mentioned earlier, those have LED lights inside the blade, which makes them more delicate. So they're not meant for battle. So RGB is always the most recommended for battle choreography.
Well, not even necessarily RGB, right? Because for what we do, I actually tell people get the most baseline lightsaber that you can get. Get one that turns on and turns off as your first saber. Because the less that you have going on in your hilt in terms of electronics, the less things that can go wrong.
Yeah.
It's really that simple. Get yourself one decent, forgive the language, abusable lightsaber that's not going to make you cry if something happens.
It's like anything
to
else,
it.
right? It's like when you start something off, you don't get the highest quality
Right.
because you are not at that level yet. You could do it and spend
It's not
thousands of dollars, but
it's
then
not
you
even a
won't even
matter
know.
of being at that level. You can be the world's greatest saberist, and that saber is still going to react the same way to being hit. So the question is, how much money do you want to sink into something and then take the chance that it's going to be that if it's not constructed properly, it's going to be destroyed? And by constructed properly, it can be an $85 saber from a decent sabersmith that just has lower priced, decent quality, entry-level sabers. It can also be a $400 Vader's Vault, which comes with sound and different fonts and things that you can change in it, but the electronics are very solid, and it comes with a really good warranty on it, and they stand behind their work. So that would be someplace I would say, if you're enamored with their sabers, that's a place that you can drop the money and you know that if something goes wrong with your saber, you haven't bought a very expensive toy that's about to go in the garbage. You just need to do your research. You need to know your sabersmiths. But essentially, it's the hilt that makes our sabers battle ready versus anything that's going on up here.
It's good to know. Again, this is like all new to me, and I'm like, I gotta up my game in all this stuff. It's like, you want me to talk to you about pencils? I could talk to you about pencils. There's a 2H, there's an HB.
Wow.
Well, yeah, as an artist, that's what I do. I draw most of the
Okay.
time, so
That's amazing.
so that's my background and everything like that. But you know, I love hearing the stories and really just hearing when people are interested in what they love, especially in the world of Star Wars, where it's huge, right? Star Wars is one of those few things that we talk about cosplay and how cosplay has grown, but Star Wars it's more than just cosplay, you know.
It's a very well developed universe. It's a very rich, detailed universe, which is what makes it such a great playground. Because there's something for everybody in there, and especially for me. So, giving away my age, but I was 5 when the first movie came out, A New Hope, in '77. And
there's the year.
And so I've literally grown up on Star Wars. And in its way, it shaped the way that I've thought of sci-fi my whole life, that I've thought of my place in that world my whole life, because their larger than life was Princess Leia. So I grew up never knowing otherwise than that there is a place for strong women.
Especially in that era, in that time period where it didn't exist like that, right?
No, it didn't.
It was Princess Leia, Lois Lane. Those are your two.
Right, but I wouldn't have known that. I was 5. And as Star Wars became the behemoth that it is today, people started making more of those characters, you know? That's how you get, Sigourney Weaver in Aliens. That's how you get Buffy the Vampire Slayer down the line. That's how you start getting Wonder Woman, the Bionic Woman. Those were the same era as well. And all strong female characters. But, do they come to the screen? They existed long before Star Wars, some of them, but do they come to the screen without Star Wars, I think is questionable at that point in time.
Yeah, because Linda Carter was with Wonder Woman in the 70s, and she's still beautiful to this day.
She is. The woman is still gorgeous.
I'm like, oh my
She really
goodness.
is.
But the other one was Carrie Fisher. And Carrie Fisher was a huge inspiration for a lot of girls at that time, because she didn't need someone to save her. She took care of it herself, right?
She was the original self-rescuing princess.
Exactly. It's like, what do you do? And then, of course, you put her with Harrison Ford's Han Solo, and it's like, they're perfect, right? Because of how much they fight. It was like it's like mom and dad fighting in the weird way, but it's such a good thing
about the class. And what Michelle told me that I absolutely agree and it totally resonated with me was the fact that it's not just about one teaching of a martial arts, it's that it's a collective of different martial arts that we're open to, that like you can mix something like Kendo or Tai Chi or Wudang, and those are one of my absolute 3 favorites that I love incorporating with some of my moves, or even whether I'm doing it solo or hopefully if I'm gonna be doing it with a partner, something that we really want to get into to combine and incorporate and personalize my own movements that define my character, which is another thing that I also want to bring up is that last week they told us that we can actually create our own character, our origin story and something like that, and I was absolutely sold. I was like, yes, I already have a character that I created long ago when I was a kid. He's adapted and has grown with me ever since up until now, and I've used him, and I definitely was going to use him for that class session last week. And I'm hoping to continue using him because it's just one of my favorite characters. And again, I just want to definitely incorporate and use the different martial arts movements into some of the fight scenes that I hope to get into.
Thank you. I really appreciate it. It was great. It was great. Also, don't forget to like, subscribe to the channel, share it with your friends, let them know that the IzzyVerse is a thing. And we'll see you next time on the IzzyVerse. Bye.